Hey everyone, so picking up right where we left off in this video, we are going to create the system for alternating between white and black's turn. And actually, I've reversed the decision that I mentioned in the last video. In the last video, I said we are just going to have one token prefab and in real time change the color when it gets placed. I've decided to switch that to two tokens, one for white and one for black. The other way that I had described would work, but the coding gets a little bit dicey, and the explanation kind of takes us down a rather deep rabbit hole that I'd rather not go into for such an introductory video. So it's perfectly legitimate to use two prefabs. I was just trying to save objects, but for a project like this, it's very low. It's not resource intensive, so it's fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on this token object, and we're going to do Control D, and that duplicates it. And you can duplicate just about any asset like that. And then we're just going to rename this to token, and we'll do _B. I tried to avoid spacing in the name of objects. This is just an image, that's fine, but I believe if you put a space in the name of a script, it actually won't work. So be mindful, try to use underscores instead of spaces when possible. So we now have two tokens. We're going to click on this one. We're going to click on Open Prefab for the color of the sprite. So this still works. We can still change the color. It's just that we're not doing it in real time. We're doing it ahead of time. And now just like that, you have a black token. Now that we've created the second token, we need our square prefab to be aware of it. So we're going to have to add a little bit of code to our scripts to adjust for that. So let's go back to our click con script. And you don't have to, but I'm going to rename this one just to acknowledge that we have two different colors. So we're going to add W in front of this, and just make sure to add that to wherever token object was used. So down here, W, and down here, W. And now what we do is we write public transform B token obj. And now we have to go back to Unity. We'll go to our square obj, or should I say our square prefab. Obj is the reference in the C# code. And you can see that these two need to be assigned. So this, since we changed the variable, it doesn't see it as the same variable. It sees an entirely different one. So white token, black token. And now our square prefab is aware of both of them. So now what we need to do is we need to create a turn system. And really a turn system can be as simple as a variable, and that variable, based on the value, the code decides to do certain tasks based on the value. So in this case, we're going to create a static variable. We're going to use a static variable because static variables are accessible throughout the entire application. And we're going to simply set it to W or B. And that's going to be the basis for the turn system. So what we do is we go to GameFlow, and we do public static, and it must be static so it's accessible throughout the entire application. Public static, and we have to say what kind of data it's going to store. It's going to store string, and then we name it. So the variable will be called, let's do current turn. You have to be careful using the word player. Like if you want to do current player, I think that's already used and has a very specific meaning. So be careful of using those very common words for your variables. It might already have a specific meaning. It might be reserved for something that Unity's already doing. And actually, let's go ahead and give it a current value, a default value of W. Okay, so now, and always make sure you save. I had a couple of takes where I was making the changes but not saving it, and it wasn't working. So anyways, this is now going to be used to make decisions, and that really is what's going to decide whose turn it is. So let's go back to our clickCon script. And right now, when the square is clicked on, it always does this. We only want it to do it if that variable that we just created has a value of W. So if and we have to say where the variable is, so we have to identify the script. So if gameflow.currentTurn equals, and yes, you have to do two equals, equals W, then we want this to occur. Technically, these squiggly brackets aren't required when there's only a single line, but we're about to add a second line. So it's a best practice to really use the squiggly brackets if you're using an if. Also, visually, it's nice. It's telling you that this occurs when this is true. So now let's go ahead and add the second line, and that is we're now going to change that value. So a moment ago, we were checking the value. Now we're going to change it to B. And yes, here you want to use one equal sign because here you are trying to change the value. And now because I'm lazy and also to reinforce the fact that this is really just rinse and repeat, we copy that, we change this to B and this to W. And now you basically have the flip-flopping between turns. So if the current value is W, when you click, the white token is displayed and we change that variable to B. Next time you click, this won't be true. This will be true. Actually, we have to make one change, though. Like I was saying, got to make sure we're using the right reference. So again, you click. If this is equal to W, the white token is displayed, and this changes to B. The next time you click, this won't be true. This will be true because this variable will be equal to B, and the black token will be displayed, and this variable will go back to white, and so it just keeps flip-flopping back and forth. So I'm just going to click on both scripts to make sure I saved it, because as I said, I tried to take of this earlier, wasn't saving my scripts, and it was not pleasant. But this should work if I have not missed anything. Actually, you know what's happening? This is cascading into this. I didn't think it would because it was a single click. So what we can do is we'll just add in an else here. So now it's saying this, if this is true, do this, else check to see if this is true. So it was cascading through these, which I didn't think it would. I thought it would only do one, but a teachable moment, so I'll leave that mistake in. There we go. And just like that, you have the basics of changing turns. Just making sure as I was jumping around to make sure it really is changing every time. Okay, so what we're going to do next is that when you place the token, it's going to check in all directions to see if there is a token that needs to be changed. And the logic is going to be a little bit challenging because what's going to happen is, so I place a black there. It needs to check that this is white, but not change it until it comes across another black. Likewise, like when I place this one here, if these were here, it has to keep going until it finds a black. If it doesn't find a black, then they shouldn't be changed. So basically what's going to happen is we're going to tentatively flag a token to be changed until that other condition is met. And I think I'm actually going to save that for video 3, not because I want to drag this out, but because that's going to be probably the most complex of the part of the application, and I really want that to be its own video. Also, I'm going to introduce a few things that I hadn't up to this point, and that we're going to use colliders to make it happen. So, well, I introduced colliders, but it's only for clicking. You'll see. Okay, so I think that will do it for this video. And like I said, the next video, we will do the flipping of the pieces. And I'll probably go a little bit more slowly than what I've done to explain the logic. And I think that will do it for now. I hope this was helpful. Just leave a like if you liked it. Leave a comment if there's a feature that you want to see added. As I mentioned, I will do at least one more video, obviously because it's not complete. And then I'll probably do one video after that, adding like a title screen, adding a score so it currently shows how many colors each side has, that kind of thing. And that should do it for now.